What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season 2 of the Champions of Galar League. I'm so excited, finally getting to do this again, and finally CGT, as it should have been, the send-off to Generation 8. I'm so excited for this season. I'm very excited for the team that I made, and I'm just excited to have some fun. As I said in my update video a few months ago, this is probably going to be the last draft league on the channel before pretty significant break. I'm not going to be super involved with Gen 9, at least not as I'm planned right now. So this is really important for me because I definitely want to end off my Gen 8 draft league experience, my playing draft league in America, just experience with a really good showing. And what better place to do it than Champions of Galar, where we have the toughest competition that we've seen. I think this is even tougher competition than Season 1. And then we also have the record last season that we had where we went 4-5. It was the only league that we never made playoffs in. We didn't get a positive record in. Which, you know, we don't want that again, right? We want to end off really strong. So I'm hoping this season we can redeem ourselves from last season and show that we really are a good contender to be the champion of Galar. I'm very excited. So let's show you all the team. Let's do this. All right, here we are with not all of the team, but some of the team. I want to give a few shout outs really quick before I go into how I want to do this. First, I want to shout out someone named Zazo, aka Iron Flash Gaming, someone who helped me with the construction of this draft, as well as plans on helping me with some of the actual builds of this season. I'm very grateful to have him helping me out because he truly is one of the smartest people when it comes to Draft League, infinitely smarter than myself, and I feel like I'm, you know, pretty knowledgeable about the game, but when I talk to him, it really does feel like he puts a perspective on it that I really think it would have, I wouldn't have gotten to. So I'm very grateful to have him help me out this season, so I want to give a huge shout out to him for helping me throughout the process of this draft, especially when I got sniped, and you know, helping me out there. But I also want to help some of the other people who helped me look at the draft as well, particularly Badass Frostlass, who's in the league, Dies a Lot, Hayes, Redikai, Blind Messiah Urshan, Simi Chris, CB Marcus, J Ricky, Lokugul, Pluto Supporter, and Simon, aka Sifemon. Great friends. Super grateful to have them in the front office. Those are the people in my little drafting section of the front office. I have a few different people helping out with builds and mocks, but it's all hands on deck for this season, baby. I want to do really well, so I'm like putting all my, like, you know, eggs in this basket. I want to absolutely kick ass if I possibly can, so we'll see how we can do. But as far as this team goes, there's a reason I'm showing these 8 before I show the last 4, and the reason is because these are the 8 that I feel make up sort of the core bits of this team. I feel like I have pretty much every checkbox checked when I have these 8 mons. And that's something that I really wanted to make sure that I was able to do before the draft started. When I was making mock drafts, I didn't want to put myself in a position where I was filling necessary holes with my like round 9 and round 10. I wanted to make sure that everything else from there was luxury and everything before then fit warmly together on a team and synergize super well. So I feel like these 8 do that perfectly for me. Thank God, right? So Aegislash, I was a little bit more later in the draft picks than I was last season, so Aegislash ended up being the mon that fell to me to be my round 1. I have no complaints about that because Aegislash is my most successful Pokemon in terms of kills and differential in Generation 8, and I haven't gotten to use it on Wi-Fi yet, which I'm very excited to do. I've only been successful with it on Showdown, so I'm very excited for that. My plan to pair Aegislash was Hydreigon, but Matt, aka Dr. Slacking, sniped that round 1 because he was 15th pick, I was 13th pick. So that was kind of a shocker, but it meant we had to sort of reframe the plan. Tapu Fini ended up being the next choice for me because I felt that defensively it covered Aegislash quite well. Sure, it takes away the option of Aegislash from running like toxic sets, but I have run these both on the same team together, and even then I've still been able to run things like Toxic Aegislash because like King Shield stalls out Misty Terrain and stuff, so they end up defensively synergizing very nicely together, and Finny can be an offensive monster in itself as well. After that, we want to make sure that we're getting mons that bait out stuff like bulky psychics, bulky fairies, things like dark types even as well for Finny to take advantage of. So that's why we have the Zarude and the Mienshao. Not really too concerned about the sort of repetitive speed tiers there. I think speed tiers, generally speaking, I used to hold them in sort of a high regard, but now after thinking about it a little bit more and making drafts and planning, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world to have repetitive speed tiers at all. It's more about the roles that they fill. So Zarude and Mienshao fill that option for me to be pivots, but also breakers when necessary, and also bulky when necessary with regen, and then Zarude's just very nice defensive typing. After that, we have the Crobat and the Nihilego. This is where things became a little scary because Azelf was planned for this spot, but Azelf got taken by Kurt. So we had to think about, okay, how do we readjust the team? And when it comes to having a good special breaker with rocks, we thought Nihilego filled that role. And then when it comes to having some good speed with a pivot capability, we thought Crobat fit that role very well. Again, repetitive poison types isn't the biggest deal in the world for me because I don't think Crobat really spams poison moves all too often. And I really, really like the speed Crobat provides so that I'm not forced into running Choice Scarf on things like Zarude and Mienshao every single week. And then finally, the last component of these 8 are my Stealth Rockers, because I don't typically want to bring Stealth Rocks on Nihilego most of the time, but maybe sometimes. I do like good T-Spikes, Stealth Rock, Suicide Nihilego. But generally speaking, we have Stunfisk and we have Mesprit. Mesprit I have only used in niche formats, so I've used them in 4v4 BDSP, and I've used Mesprit in Surge as well, which is like a tournament style that is different from normal draft league. So I haven't used it on a regular draft. I'm very excited to see how it goes, but it does seem like it sort of fills holes very, very well for me. It gives me a ground immunity that I really, really like having that doesn't force Crobat into being that role since Crobat's weak to Stone Edge. And it also gives me things like Psychic Resist and Fighting Resist that I don't need to rely on things like AG / Infinity for, which is super great. Mainly Psychic Resist is a good thing, though, is something that I really appreciated Mesprit being able to do, because right now my Psychic Resist and AG / and Zarude are good, but those mons want to have different roles at times. I also think that, like, at times Mesprit can be a very, very good special sponge depending on what I'm facing, so it's good to have that option, as well as just another pivoter and status spreader or whatever, you know, it needs to be. And then Stunfisk, it took me a lot of convincing to pick up Stunfisk on Zazo's part, who swears by this thing, but I looked at it and I was like, it seems kind of low tier for a ground. I usually like it when my grounds are high tier. I wanted Crocodile on this draft, but it got taken like by Owen like round 3, so it just wasn't happening. So it was either this or like a Rhyperior or something like that. And Zazo sent me some replays, he sent me some set ideas, and he was like, look, Stunfisk can do some pretty amazing things, and you definitely should pick it up. It's worth the value at 6 points. He thinks it's like a 9-pointer. And the perk about Stunfisk is that it is a pretty hard check to things like Coco and Zapdos and Zeraora in particular. It's an amazing check too. And those 3 are mons that like I hard lose to right now. So it ends up making sense for me to pick up Stunfisk, and, you know, I think it is going to fit this team well. It's going to be a good electric answer, because I think I struggle with electric types a little bit right now, and it's going to be good to set up hazards. It's basically all I needed for, and it does patch every hole I needed for this team in terms of resistances as well. So I'm very excited with these 8, but now comes the part where we add 4 more mons to this team, and I did go for 12 Pokemon in total. And you're going to be a little confused when you see these last 4, which are these last 4. So I think the big question mark in people's heads is, what the fuck? You drafted Azu plus Finny? What the fuck is that? That's insane. That makes no sense. That's bad, you might even say. I assure you, I'm going to show you all. Did some sort of theory modding for this team, and it works, and it should work from how I thought about this. First of all, Fairy Water is one of the best type combinations in the game, so there's nothing wrong with having 2 mons of that typing. Second of all, they have different roles, right? So Finny can be more defensive at times or more offensive. Azu could be more offensive at times or defensive at times. They free each other up to be offensive or defensive depending on the matchup because of their typing. However, because one is more primarily special and one is more primarily physical, their roles are totally different, and they could come on the same team if a team is super water weak or super fairy weak. And say that like Finny pressures out that bulky water and ships that bulky water, all of a sudden like Belly Drum Azu opens up, or vice versa. Say like Azu baits in something like a steel type, and all of a sudden like freaking, you know, Finny's Moonblast becomes much more freed up as well. So because they're the similar types and most teams only have one response to them, they free each other up in that way, which I'm very excited for. They also are a nice like knockoff combination, which I like as well. So I definitely see them coming on the same team multiple weeks. I think they're both phenomenal mons, and I've used them both well in the past, so I'm pretty excited for it. Exploud is there as a normal type because I didn't have a ghost immunity yet. And the reason I like Exploud as my ghost immunity in this particular case is just because I want that extra special breaker that is not Nihilego, because Nihilego has a very, very situational matchup. Sometimes if there's just good counters to Nihilego on a team, then it just can't really come. So having that secondary special breaker is very nice, and just not a lot of teams have good normal resists. I thought that this was the mon that could best punish that, which I like a lot. And then, you know, generally speaking, I think Exploud has a lot of like nice niche sort of support options with like Boom Burst plus Taunt to like break down walls, or like Circle Throw to stop setup, you know. So I think it has a lot of utility here. Last two mons, Trapinch I think is the biggest steal for 2 points on this team, because things like Nihilego, things like Exploud, things like Aegislash, even things like Crobat don't want to be dealing with steel types. So if I can trap those steel types and kill them, that's super perfect for me. Same thing goes for like electric types that I might struggle with, and Stunfisk might have a bad matchup. Same thing goes for things like Weavile that I can click First Impression against. So I just think there's a lot of options that Trapinch provides that is going to help me quite a bit in this game, or in this league. But in multiple games, hopefully, we'll see. I'm excited for it. I've used it before. I've used it before quite well, and I think it's gonna stay on the team and do great. And then Delibird is the last one. I had 1 point left. The 1 point tier this season is very bleak because we wanted to make sure that all the 1 pointers were, you know, not just like, you know, pick up a 1 point Weber or like pick up like a 1 point something. So I picked up Delibird for Spikes plus D-Bond. I guess any 1 pointer is going to have something like that, but we just figured that like it was going to be boring for everyone to pick up things like a 1 point Charge-a-Bug or a 1 point, I don't know, Swirlix or something like that. So those were all 2 points, and Delibird is 1 point. So we got Delibird here. It also helps against one particular matchup that I saw that I think it looks pretty good into, but I won't say whether they're on our schedule or not this season. But, you know, it's as far as you can get with a 1 pointer, right? So I'm excited for this team. I think there is a lot of potential. I already love this team significantly more than I liked my team last season. Last season I thought I liked my team, but I really only liked my top 4 because they were good, which was like Lando, Necrozma, Weavile, Keldeo, which is insane, by the way, because all of those mons went by round 2 this season. But the thing for me here is that while I might not have as powerful as a top 4 as I did last season, what I have is a team that synergizes well. And that was my issue last season, is I just didn't have that. So now that I have it here, I'm hoping that I can play as strong as I possibly can and do well this season. We play Shuckle King week 1, which is terrifying. I was hoping that I would get to play Shuckle King this generation, but I wasn't expecting it to be so suddenly during week 1 of CGT, like immediately. It's extremely nerve-wracking, so I'm playing that game. By the time this goes up, I'll have already played it, but I don't know how it's going to go. We're going to see. But I'm very excited for it. It's going to be a very tough week 1. After that, though, I think that, I mean, even Shuckle King, like, I'm hoping that I definitely think I think I definitely have a team that can beat Shuckle King, so if that happens, great. If it doesn't happen, whatever. We have 9 weeks ahead of us. Our goal is to go 5-4, make playoffs, and, you know, show that we're pretty good. So, yeah. Let me know. Let me know what you think of this team. Let me know what you think of Azu plus Finny. I'm pretty excited for it. And maybe predict what our record is going to be in the comments. Let's see. what we think. But definitely leave a like, subscribe for our return to Draft League after just a little bit. I'm very, very excited for this and to share CGT with all of you for, one last go for Sword and Shield. Okay. Bye, everyone.